without any further ado, now I've spoken to a couple of people over the last week who have been on the previous webinars. A few people have asked me some interesting questions, both about different bits of software, but also sort of random strategy. And it sort of brought me onto thinking about, well, how are we going to take this forward and actually show you how you can make your funnel into something that's actually very, very usable. And, you know, to be honest, we could keep going on forever with some of the more technical stuff. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about a few things, a little bit of theory, and then I'm going to talk about one or two really important things that you can do to absolutely optimize how your funnel works and getting people into it. So if there are any specific things, I might go down that route as well. But we're probably more today going to talk a little bit about things like split testing. We're going to talk about how to set up, maybe starting to think about driving a little bit of traffic. And if you've got any specific questions, please do ask them. So if anybody has anything straight away they want to bring up, please do just bob it in the Q&A now. It's probably a good time to do that. I recognize some names on there as well. Hi, everybody. Any questions to start with? I'll take that as a no. Okay, so hopefully by now some of you will have actually maybe even started playing with the funneling software, whether it's the software that we're using here, which is Kartra, or something else. But most importantly, I'm kind of hoping that you've really been thinking about building your customer profile and really figuring out who it is that you want to target. Now, once you have a really good idea, and this is kind of going back to what we talked about in the first webinar, once you have a good idea of who it is that you want to hit, the next question is, where do you find those people? And most importantly, how do you know that when you're starting to drive traffic to your funnel, that it's actually working and it's actually going to convert and get you the leads that you need? Now, one of the things that quite often happens is people set up their first funnel and maybe they run some ads on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram or something like that, or maybe they run pay-per-click ads on Google or something like that, and they get lots and lots of people coming to their funnel. And then what happens is they don't necessarily get loads of people entering their funnel, and this is a very, very common thing. What do you do about it? And there's typically a belief that, I've had 30,000 people come, but only, 100 people have actually entered the funnel. What's going on? Well, sometimes you have to get into the data a little bit, because one of the interesting things about funnels is that if you want to learn how to do it well, you're going to need to learn how to read and interpret the data. And the best way for you to maximize how your funnel works is to run a split test. And so that's the first thing that we're going to do today. So some of you will know what a split test is, some of you won't, but I'm actually just going to basically go right from the start to the end, and I'm going to show you how to set up a really simple split test. Now, bear in mind that everything we've done so far is just really, really basic stuff. We've set up a landing page, we've set up a form, we've set up a thank you page, and we've shown how you can then start to build emails and broadcasts out. So what happens next? Well, if you remember last time, we started setting up a landing page and a funnel for Lisa, who had an interesting free lead magnet, which was 101 cool bits of software every not-for-profit needs. And so you could argue she's obviously focused on targeting those not-for-profit businesses. And she's maybe going to go and find those guys on whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it may be, and hopefully drive them to a site and then get that connection with them. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to share my screen, and we're going to jump straight in and start to set up, first of all, a split test. Now, what is a split test? So a split test, it's kind of very simple. It's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of having one landing page that everybody goes to get your offer, you have more than one. So you can have 2, you can have 3, you can have 20. I don't recommend having 20. I'd recommend having 2, maybe 3 at the most. Some people use 4. That's okay, but keep it nice and simple. And each of those landing pages can be slightly different. Now, there's loads of ways to run a split test. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll have a landing page A here, and I'll have a landing page B here, and there'll be no difference between the two, except that on landing page B, I might put a countdown. And that countdown might be something like, get this offer in the next 2 days, because then it runs out. And what you can sometimes see is that if you do that, I'm not saying you should always do this, by the way, it's not appropriate for everything, but you can sometimes see just by having that change that there is a huge difference between the conversion rates of landing page A and landing page B. And it might be that one or the other of them outperforms. And I have seen it, by the way, where you can have something like a countdown on landing page B saying that this offer will end in 2 days or whatever it may be, and it actually doesn't convert quite as well as the evergreen landing page. So don't think for a moment that creating that level of scarcity is always the thing to do. This is going to bring us on to the whole psychology side of funnels and really thinking about, well, what is it that encourages people to come in, be part of your funnel and actually choose to give their details away. So let's jump in. Let's actually very quickly build a split test, and I'll show you how this works. So first of all, I shall just move Zoom out of the way a little bit. There we go. Oops. You guys can't see this, but I'm having an issue trying to get Zoom onto that screen. There we go. Cool. And then we are going to share my screen. And we'll go to that desktop there. Okay. So hopefully now you can all see my screen. I'm just inside of my Kartra at the moment. And what we've got here, if you remember, this is our pages area. And if you remember last time we set up this landing page for Lisa, it was just very, very quick. It was, here's our offer. Here's a little bit of blurb down here, and there's the subscribe box again. So it's there twice. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up another landing page now that's ever so slightly different. So in Kartra, there's a cool little button you can use. You don't have to recreate it. You can just click the 3 little dots here and just clone it. So we've now built a new landing page exactly the same as the first one. So originally it was called 101 Free Tools LP for landing page, and now it's added the word clone to it. I'll just keep that where it is, put it as no category and no site in particular. It's now cloned. It's going to bring up our builder now. And let's make one little change to it. Oh, it's going slow today. Everybody must be online today. Okay, so I don't know. Let's just change it ever so slightly. We're not going to go too deep into this. Maybe we'll change the text here so it goes, instead of get the ebook, it just goes the best tools for not for profit companies. Okay, and that's the only change that we're going to make to this. Everything else is the same. As you can see, we've got the form here. Everything else is just the same, and we could change it if we wanted, because this is a completely separate page. Just pop that out of the way, and now I'm going to publish it. If you remember, once we publish something, it just takes a moment. We're going to get the page link. And we'll call this Lisa landing page 2. Okay, that's the URL that we're going to use there. We're going to close that, and now we've saved it, we can return it to our dashboard. Okay, that's it. So we've now got that page there, 101 Free Tools LP and 101 Free Tools LP clone. Now, imagine this. Imagine that you were running an advert on, let's say, Facebook. Okay, you're going to, if you know how to run Facebook ads, you'd be going to your business manager, you'd be setting up an ad set, an ad group, and getting them out there and inside of people's feed. But what you want people to do now is you're going to want them to go to these landing pages. But we want to test which landing page is going to convert the best. So what we want to do is, ideally, to begin with, we want half of the visitors to go to this landing page here and half to go to that landing page there. And then what we're going to do really is see if that landing page works better than that one. So here's how it goes. Up here in the top corner, we've got under pages. This isn't Kartra. Obviously, it's different if you're using different software, but the idea is very much the same. It'll just be finding the different buttons. If you click on split tests, and what you are going to do, I'm just going to move that out of the way. What you are going to do in Kartra is you're just going to click the big green button down here. And we're going to campaign name. We're going to go Lisa's first split test and click next. Okay, now what we want to do now is tell it which are the pages that the visitors are going to go to, which are the ones that they're up against. You can use up to 4 in Kartra. So in this case, it's a Kartra page. It's going to be, first of all, 101 Free Tools LP. And we're going to say 50% of people can go to that. And then we're not at 100% yet, so our split test won't work. It has to be exactly 100% in Kartra, which is the right way to do it. And now we're going to use the clone as well, and obviously make that 50%. Great. So now we can add the type of goal that we can track. So let's say we're just going to track opt-ins, and it's this one here. So that's the form that we use. So we're going to track how many people fill in the form. And we're also going to track how many people visit the page. Okay. Now we've got an opportunity to either select a winner here or not select a winner. Now, what this does is, over time, as it starts to get visitors to the landing pages, if one really is outperforming the other, let's say one's got a conversion rate of 10% and one's got a conversion rate of 2%, once it reaches a certain threshold, it's basically going to go, okay, the one that's at 10% is quite clearly the winner. So at this point, we're no longer going to run our split test. When people come into our landing pages, we're just going to serve them the winning page. However, I tend to think it's a good idea to not auto-select the winner and to do it manually and just look at the data yourself, because this is going to tell you a bit of a story as well. And it's useful, particularly when you're setting up a new campaign, to do right at the beginning, keep an eye on it. So for this purpose, I'm just going to say don't auto-select a winner for now. Obviously, we are going to add tags to people, but if you remember what we did before is we said that when people come in and they fill in the opt-in form, because that's really the only thing that they can interact with on the page, we're going to add a tag at that point. So right here, right now, as we're just running the split test, we're not going to add any further tags. Okay, so now, and this is a really important bit, now what we've got to do is make sure we've got that link. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to stick that on a sticky note. There we go. I actually had a split test from before there, look. So I shall just get rid of that for now. And this is for Lisa's split test 1. Okay, we'll just keep that there for now. So now, what we're now going to do is, you've now got under split test. You can see this is coming now. Obviously, there are no visitors at this point, but I'll actually show you how it works. There's no visitors yet, but now if I was to open up an incognito window, so that I'm obviously telling Google I'm a new person, I'm not connected, and I'm just going to test this. It's going to go to one or the other landing pages. We don't know which one it's going to go to. So let's see if we can find out. So that now, oh, it's chosen landing page 2 for us, okay, which is the one that we just built. Okay, so now we can see that all we needed to do was give it that original link, and it's automatically chosen this landing page. Let's get rid of that. And now if we refresh this page, what we should see oops, where's it gone? There it is. What we should see is, let's have a look, see if we can find these here. If you have a look here, we've got the 101 Free Tools LP clone, which is the one that we've just built. We've actually got one visitor there now. Now, you'll notice that it's got these other stats here. You can see that people have actually been visiting Lisa's page, which is really interesting. So it's had 6 visits since we built it last week, which is fantastic. It just goes to show that you know, you can build a site in Kartra, not do anything with it, and potentially still get people there. So we've actually got a little bit of data, but we've now seen that that one visitor today, which was me, has come in. We can now see a little bit of stats here as well. So we can see it's had Lisa's landing pages have had 13 visitors, 85% of which were on computers, 15% of which were on phones, no percent were on tablets. We've met 6 goals. Now, the goals obviously were things like filling in the opt-in. So we know that 6 people have actually been and filled in the opt-in form. I'm sure one of them was me. Maybe I even did it twice, who knows? But other people have done that as well. And we can see roughly spread exactly the same. 83% opted in on computers, 17% opted in on their mobiles. We've not made any revenue yet, but the reason for that is we haven't told the system that there is any revenue to pick up. So I'll just pause at that point and just see if there are any questions. I actually can't see Zoom anymore. Unbelievable. No, I don't think there's any questions at this point in time. Okay, so do you all get that? Now, if we wanted to run our split test campaign now and we want to drive people from Facebook, what are we actually going to do? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we set up our ad, this split test URL is the URL that we send them to, not the URL of the individual pages. So let's try it again and see if we get another result, slightly different result. Put a new incognito window up and let's see where it sends us to this time. Oh, it sent us to landing page 2 again. Very interesting. It probably thinks, well, there's been a few people going to landing page 1. Let's send him to number 2 again. So once again, you'll see that should tick up from 13 to 14 now. We'll just refresh that. And we're going to go, there we go, 14. So what you saw before with the bigger number were some of the other pages that I've got that I'm actually in testing at the moment. So that's why you saw a bigger number there. This is purely for Lisa's landing pages. So we've now got 14 visitors. The stats are roughly the same. And as you can see down here, for 101 Free Tools clone, we've now got 2 visitors. And that's it. Once you've started to do that, and you've started to build your split test, then you can get some idea of things like engagement. You can see all sorts of really cool things. And this is where you start to build your data journey and your data story. So here is, and this is, by the way, under analytics engagement. So now we can see I've chosen Lisa's number one page here. Okay, in the last 30 days, it's had 6 visitors. Okay, that means 71% of all the people who have visited this particular site for Lisa came and hit this page. Obviously, that would have been 100% had I not set up a new page and sent myself to it. The average time on the page is 37 seconds. So people are just scanning it. It's very quick. And then after 10 seconds, what we're saying here is after 10 seconds, the average time that people are taking on the page once they've spent at least 10 seconds on there is 48 seconds. So what that's telling us is if you can keep them on the page for more than 10 seconds, you actually improve their attention rate. And now we're saying that there's an average scroll rate, so people actually scrolling down the page, of 67%. So about, 2/3, which is pretty good, are scrolling down the page somehow. And after 10 seconds, 65% of people are doing that. So we're basically saying if you can keep them on the page for more than 10 seconds, they're actually scrolling down to the bottom. And this is a really cool feature over at this right-hand side. You can pull this down and you can actually see you've got a heat map here of how far down the visitors get. So what we can say is that of all these visitors, 100% get to this point here. And that probably denotes that that's the visible part of the page that's shown on both mobile and on computers. So 100% of people see that much. So up to that line there. And then as we get a little bit lower, 85% of people get as far as this bit of text here. And then there's a big drop off. So once people get down to about here, we're only at 57%. And right at the bottom, 42%, which is pretty good for any landing page to get 42% who go right down to the bottom. So that's telling us a really interesting data story. Now, this obviously is a very, very simple just test landing page. But what if your landing page was quite a long one and it had lots of information on it? This is going to tell us now where the bottleneck lies. How far down are people going? What's the bit that they're going to get to? And then the majority of them are disappearing off, never to be seen again if they haven't filled in the opt-in form. So that's going to tell us a lot of information, and that's relating to all visitors. You can, of course, filter that by visitors who were on the site for more than 10 seconds. So let's see what that tells us. That's very interesting. If you were on the site for more than 10 seconds, a smaller amount get right down to the bottom. So, but a slightly larger amount see pretty much all of this section here, 60% compared to, I think it was about 52% before. So that's telling us if you can keep people on the page that little bit longer, they're more likely to see this middle section, but they're less likely to get all the way down to the bottom section. So that's kind of interesting and very, very important for when you're building a slightly more complex landing page. Okay, I'm just going to go back over. We'll stop the share for a moment and I'll just come back in and see if there are any questions. Yes, there's one here. Oh, there's a few here. Let's see.
Really, yeah. So we got a question here from Lisa Jagger, who's asking, what is a good sign-up ratio to aim for?
Oh, that's a $6 billion question. I mean, every funnel builder wants as high as possible. Typically, I mean, and it kind of depends on the product. Okay, so if you're giving something away that's of high value as a lead magnet, I would be saying, if you can get, 7 or 8%. That's not bad. And suddenly people go, what, 7 or 8% of people fill in the form? Yeah. 10% is really good. It's very rare that you see anything where you get more than that, because people genuinely are, sick to the back teeth of spam, and they don't necessarily want to fill their details in every time they find something that might be of interest. So it becomes a numbers game. So you could, if you can go for 10%, that's amazing. Yeah. And I've seen, I ran one for a company the other week, and we got 35,000 clicks on Facebook in 4 days. So I set up, and I'm going to show you how I built the ads for that as well, because I ran the whole thing, ran the ads, put it on Facebook, built the funnel, and we got 35,000 clicks in 4 days. What then happened is the number of people who signed up to the opt-in was less than 1%. It was tiny in comparison. It was just ridiculously low. So what did that tell us? Now, obviously the client at the time was a little bit upset. They were like 35,000 people and we got, 0.7% or something like that. Well, yeah, that's kind of what it is. And what it told us when we started looking at the heat maps and we started looking at where are people exiting, excuse me, is it told us that the landing page probably wasn't resonating very well with the people that were landing on it. So we looked at the demographic, and the demographic that we picked up, and we'd asked Facebook to target people aged 40 upwards, both male and female. And what we discovered that it was actually the biggest demographic that wanted to click on the ads were 65-year-old females and above, right? So what did that tell us? It told us that the landing page probably wasn't optimized for that demographic. They were interested in the ad, so something resonated with them with the advert, which was great, but it didn't convert them and encourage them to give over their details so that we could have an ongoing dialogue. So we've changed that up, and we actually have continued to change it up over the space of a few weeks. And we're about to run another test again and see if that works better. And this is now getting into the psychology of it. Because genuinely someone who sits in the demographic of 65-year-old plus female, and we'd actually also targeted a category where their wealth status, their demographic status was much higher. They were at the A's, B's, and C1s. That will convert in a different way to people who are, 19 years old and have low disposable income. So you have to really think about who is your audience. And this is why it's so important to get your profiling done at the beginning. And actually what you might find over time is the profile you think is the right one, the data doesn't support. And I've seen that before. I'll give you an example. I was once part of a team not that long ago, and there was a client actually in the not-for-profit industry. They were a third sector company, and they were looking at their fundraising and seeing where the fundraising came from. And they thought the fundraising came from new mums. Okay, so they were convinced that it was people who'd had kids, because it was a children's charity. People who'd had kids in the last 5 years and were female and were in this sort of age group, which was, I think, was about 30 to 45, were the target audience. But then what we did is we took their data and we actually did a big crunch on the data. And this was over 3 years worth of data that they hadn't crunched. And what we discovered is that it wasn't the mums at all who were the biggest donators to them. It was the grandparents. And everything that they'd been doing with their landing page was not optimized for the grandparents. So by changing it up, what they actually suddenly discovered is that their cost of bringing in those new funds suddenly dramatically dropped, because we were now focusing the landing pages at the grandparents instead of the parents. And that made such a difference. I mean, I actually think that when we started extrapolating and said, if you do this, it started looking like they were going to save 6 figures per year, just making that one little change to their landing page. Nothing else changes, just the landing page. So Lisa, I know I've gone on a little bit, but it's really, really important to get the psychology right and to really think about who it is that's coming into your funnel. So I'd say if you can get 10% sign up ratio, fantastic, but don't be disheartened if what you get is like a 0.5% sign up ratio. What's it telling you? Maybe you need to do something with a landing page. Maybe the ads aren't quite right. Maybe you're not getting the trust element right. Maybe you're just not getting the message across. This is good because it tells you you've got more work to do in optimizing and making sure that your funnel is going to work properly. So I think we've answered that one now.
Yeah, that's really
Okay.
good answer. That's brilliant. Thank you, Dylan. And we've also got a couple of questions from Miriam here. I'll just read them out as we go. So this one's to do with the Kartra's domain, and the question: having people land on the Kartra domain, it would have a negative impact on
Absolutely.
my identity?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a way around it?
Yes, with Kartra, you can plug it into your domain. So I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. You can actually use what's called a custom domain. Now, it looks like you've got stylescience.co is your domain. So what you could have is what's called a subdomain under that. So it might be something like connect.stylescience.co or hello.stylescience.co or signup.stylescience.co or something like that. And then what you would do is you'd go to your, you can connect the two things up so that if anybody goes to then, subscribe.stylescience.co, whatever it may be, you've used as a subdomain, it would go to your landing page. Nobody would be any the wiser. I've actually just done this recently with something that I'm building at the moment, which is kind of interesting. And so I'll show you how it integrates shortly. So Miriam also, let me just go back to that one about the brand integrity. You're absolutely right. It's people are turned off by a couple of things. One is by seeing something that doesn't quite look right in terms of the domain of the brand, the product, or whatever. That's very true. So it is a good idea to use subdomains. Also, you'll notice sometimes when you click things, you get these incredibly long URLs that appear in your URL window, which are affiliate links generally, or they're tracking links. And so it is obviously really important. People don't like them, which is why I'm a really big fan of going to places like Bitly and shortening my URLs. So let me show you how you can do that in just a moment. Let me just write that down. So we'll go Bitly and we'll show custom domain as well. Okay. So I hope that answers that question. I'll show you it in just a moment. I think that's the thing. Loving the heat map. Does anyone know how I could check my website? Do you mean with a heat map? The answer is yes, you can. It kind of depends on the technology that you've used to build your website. Now, obviously, Google Analytics is probably the number one place to go to. I would encourage everybody to have Google Analytics on every single website, so it's tracking what's going on. And learn how to read them. It's complicated. Don't get me wrong. It's this whole world of tracking gets pretty heavy at times. And so sometimes it is actually, if you haven't got people in-house to do that, get a consultant in, let them do it. Even if it's, you just pay them, for, half a day a month to just go and have a look at the data and present you with a report. It's actually money well spent, because in the absence of data, it's all guesswork. And you know what happens when you're using guesswork. So don't use guesswork, okay? If you're using things like WordPress, there are heat map plugins that you can get, by the way. And you can do that for some of the other frameworks as well. It really depends on your framework, but I would say the number one thing that you should probably be doing is making sure you've got good Google Analytics. And at the end of the day, if you're not optimized for Google, right, they are the number one place in the world, for driving traffic. You might not like Google very much. I don't particularly like Google very much, but you've kind of got to live with them. They're a necessary evil, and you've got to optimize for Google as well as your audience. We've done that one. Is demographics data also available through Kartra? Now, that's a really interesting question. The answer is, how would Kartra know? It doesn't. Now, the answer is that you can, with connecting with Google Analytics, and this is why you should do Google. Google knows everything there is to know about you. It knows you better than you know yourself. So this is why Google Analytics is really, really important, because you're going to get some of that data. However, if you're doing things on places like Facebook, and Facebook's really good for getting that data, because when you sign up to these social sites, it's going to ask you things like your date of birth and your your gender and things like that. It's going to track you, and it's not doing it just for the sake of it. Yeah, just to tick some boxes. It's doing it because it wants to find a way of segmenting you, and over time, its algorithm is going to learn more and more and more about you. So if there's things that you don't want Facebook to know, don't put them on Facebook, right? So the answer is Kartra itself doesn't get down into that granular level of detail. However, Facebook does, and because you can use tracking pixels from Facebook and Instagram, you're going to get a lot more information, and you kind of then want to bring up side by side your analytics data. So you're going to want to really take a good look at your Facebook data on the people that clicked on your ads, and then you're going to want to maybe come to Kartra and have a look at the data of the people that landed on your page. And that's really, really important. So I hope that answers the question. It's kind of a yes and, but not necessarily inside of Kartra. There's another question just pops up. Where would you say is the place to run B2B campaigns? Target market is hospitality businesses. I would say LinkedIn first. I would say Google pay-per-click second. And overall, the number one thing for me is organic. If you can get things organic. So what I mean by organic is that it's not paid, right? And if you can start creating lots of content, and that content is what we call evergreen, so it's good forever. So if you're writing about, I don't know, the best hotels in London, for example, you might start, they're going to change a little bit. You're going to, want to keep updating your pages, but effectively, the more content that you can get, you've got to think about the way that people are searching. So if I'm looking for a hotel in London, what am I going to search for? I mean, I'd probably go to one of the aggregators like booking.com, find a nice hotel that I like the look of. And then for me, I'd probably go and stick it into Google and see if I could find it a bit cheaper. But that's just me. But you've got to think about, well, what are the people looking for? And I'm going to give you a little clue here, right? One of the things I love is this idea of stats make clicks. And you might have heard other people talking about this on LinkedIn if you're active on there. What I mean by that is people are naturally drawn to sites where they get information presented in a very, very quick and well-formatted statistical way. So they can just look at it really quickly. They don't have to read loads of blurb. They can just do a nice comparison. You'll have seen on loads of websites, you've got, comparisons of the different pricing strategies, but also lots of people go to places like Capterra for comparing the different types of products that they might want to use. So it might be that if you're looking at different funneling products, you might want to put Kartra against Lead Pages, against, I don't know, Lead Buy, against ClickFunnels or something like that, and see what they all do in a nice graph. So I would say that if you can start to run really good organic campaigns with good stats and really well laid out information, I guarantee that's going to get good engagement over time if you've optimized that page really well. And keep building content. I can't say this enough. The key to getting traffic is to make great, engaging content that people want. Okay. You don't have to be a great writer. You just have to give people what they want. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. But for B2B campaigns, Facebook can be useful. And that's certainly true. And also, I'd also look at Pinterest as well. Pinterest is quite interesting. But I would say probably if you're running that sort of campaign, go to LinkedIn. That's probably the number one place. Email lists as well. Believe it or not, email lists are not dead, right? I know plenty of people that are making great livings through email lists, and GDPR has definitely not killed the email list, but you have to use them just right. I tend to believe in the idea of it's better to have what we call earned data rather than bought data. So earned data is where they've come and they've engaged with you and they've chosen to engage with you, not that they've gone on somebody else's list and you're now piggybacking on top of that, even if it is legal and it's okay to do that. You're just going to get a much better response if it's earned first-party data. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, let's just take a quick look at those. I am going to share my screen once again. We shall go to there. Yes. Let's go to Bitly. We're going to take this link that we made before. That is our Lisa split test link. We'll go to bit.ly.com. There's loads of different places you can do this, but I just happen to like Bitly. Look, there's a few links that I made the other day that I was doing things for. You can see in there that I've shortened. So that was a link that I had, and that's a shortened link that Bitly made. It's very, very simple to use. It's free. You can just bob your link in there. That's the link that we've just got from here. Look, that ends CYF and CYF, and just hit shorten, and there is your new link. So if I now take that link and I bob that into an incognito window, watch, let's see what it's going to do. Which landing page is it going to take us to? Oh, it's taking us to landing page 2 again. It's obviously trying to get those numbers up so that it's got the same number of people landing on landing page 2 before the split test really kicks in. It's a shame. I kind of wanted to show you it landing on landing page 1, but if we kept doing it, that's what would happen eventually. Okay, so you can shorten that link, and yes, it does appear still up here, but in the initial click and hover that people made, it would have shown the Bitly link. Now, if you wanted to customize that, you can do that inside of Kartra here, and you do it up here in the top right hand corner. You basically drop down to custom domains here, and you'll actually see a couple that I've made. So this is one that I'm doing at the moment, Free Lightbulbs for Life online. And what you'll notice is that if you edit it, so that domain, freelightbulbsforlife.online, which I have, well, I've actually got access to it in my client's portal. What happens is when you go to that, and we've not got anything else running, it's purely going to this Kartra site. And look, there's a favicon up there that we even put on as well. It's going to the Kartra, this Kartra page here. And if there's an error, if for some reason, so somebody puts in an extension that it doesn't like, let's say that, in fact, let's show you it. Let's actually show you that one. I'll tell you what, let's just go to the site, because I know what it is. freelightbulbsforlife.online. If I go to that website, here is the landing page that I've built. Okay, so it's a lead magnet, get 100% free LED light bulbs for life, and there is the sign up straight away. If you scroll down a wee bit, it's got a bit of information on LEDs, and then it's got some frequently asked questions, and then right at the bottom again, there is the form once again. It's very, very simple. But what you'll now notice is that the domain is that it's not going to the Kartra page anymore. Okay, so it's actually keeping inside of that domain. It's fully connected. And if we'd have set it up as a subdomain, which you can also do, like I've got this one here, which is a subdomain. I've actually got it as signup.dylanleighton.com because I wanted to keep it separate to my dylanleighton.com website. So if you just go to sign up, it's actually going to a bunch of Kartra pages. And for anybody that's been there, sign up.dylanleighton.com. What you'll notice is actually looking at Kartra down here, but the URL stays the same. So unless they're sort of looking at what's going on here, which nobody really ever pays attention to, it's just going to go here. And actually all this is doing inside of Kartra is allowing people to book a session of time with me for strategy. So if you want to go and do that, please feel free. That's how to get in touch with me. Okay, so I hope that's answered that question from before. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to take a very, very short break. There's a couple of messages down here. Oh yes, Rory's just put, for those with WordPress websites, there's a plugin called Hotjar. This includes heat maps and other analytics for your website. Lisa says, I'm over there with my sign-up rate for this lead magnet is 25%. Yes, you've done very well, Lisa. Well done. And actually, you know what? I genuinely mean this, if you're giving something away that's of value, right, and that you can say to people, look, I'm going to be really straight with you. I want to get your trust. Here is something of value. I'm not going to spam the hell out of you. I'm going to keep your data safe. So I always think it's a good idea to have like a privacy sign or something like that, and just say, look, your data is going to be kept safe. We're not going to sell it or rent it or give it to anybody else. We're just going to use it so we can send you occasional updates. And sometimes it's even worth saying, we'll send you one no more than once a week. And people at least know what to expect then. And I also even like to put in it, you can unsubscribe at any time, which is true. In order to make it GDPR compliant, you have to be able to unsubscribe from it at any time. So, so Hotjar, it's actually very good. It does include analytics for the website, and you can use it for up to 4,000 hits per month. The only thing I'm going to take issue with on Rory there is he should have put a link to it with his own referral link in. And if people signed up, maybe he could have been earning a little bit of affiliate commission there. So Rory, you're going to have to do that for next time. Okay, we'll take a quick break for, I don't know, 5. Let's actually make it 10 minutes, because what I want everybody to do is to, I'm sure there's going to be a few questions that have come in and that people have got. If you want to have a bit of time to write them down, now is the time to do it. We'll come back at 5 past. It's like 8 minutes or something. It's a good time to get a coffee. If you've got any questions, please put them in the Q&A, and then we'll carry on. Okay, we'll see you all in a little bit. Okay, so welcome back. Hope you had a good coffee. Are there any questions? I'm not seeing any going in the Q&A box, but that's okay for now. I just wanted to share something that I just pulled up. Another really cool feature actually of Kartra is that you can actually run an agency. So if other people have got Kartra and they don't really know how to use it, you can get access to it on their behalf and run it for them, which is what I do for a couple of clients. So I'm just going to show you. This is a client here. This is something that I did last month. You can see that there were 1,175 visitors to this page. That actually accounted for 48% of the visitors. So it's obviously part of a split test. The average time on the page for everybody was 21 seconds. But if you get them over 10 seconds, you see that that sort of goes up a little bit, and the average scroll rate's quite good as well. So you can see as it goes down, there's a free guide, and it gets down to the bottom of there, and pretty much that's where you get a drop off for all visitors. But you do tend to go a little bit further for visitors that are there for more than 10 seconds. So I just kind of wanted to show you that just to give you an idea of how some of that works. So still no questions gone in there. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about how you actually get traffic, because this is the number one thing. How do you get traffic to your site? And like I said before, you can probably put it into two separate categories. One is paid, which is where it's adverts, it's pay-per-click on Google, it's things like that. And the other one is organic, which is where you're creating content, you're indexing it properly with the search engines, particularly with Google, but it's a good idea to index it with others like Bing and Yahoo as well, although they account for much, much less of the market share compared to, say, Google. Effectively what you're doing is you're creating content that's got good optimization. It's got good search engine optimization. It's got the keywords are good. People can find it, and it's hopefully ranking fairly high, and people are clicking on it and going to your landing pages. And ultimately, they're the two major ways of getting traffic. And everybody out there in the marketing sphere will tell you different things. I've discovered about how to get traffic. There are some pretty bog standard ways that people will always talk about. I tend to think that a good rule of thumb is if you're starting something up and you're looking to get your first lot of traffic, realistically, what you probably want to be doing is running some ads to get people to your site first, because nobody knows about it, and there's no SEO done already. There's no content that's ranking up there highly on Google. And whilst that's ongoing, and you are going to have to spend some money, there's probably no question about that if you want to get good amounts of traffic. And secondly, while you're doing that, you then want to be really focusing on generating content, lots of it, making sure it's well optimized, making sure that you're keeping a track of your Google Analytics, and doing everything that you can to get Google to rank your content very highly. I'm going to give you a little clue, right? Right now, one of the best ways of getting onto page one of Google is with video. Okay, so a little trick for you. If you can do some really high quality videos, explainer videos are good. So let's say I'm talking about Kartra, for example, the software that we're using here. I can do lots of writing about it, but what I might want to do is do some explainer videos. This is how you use Kartra. This is the different things. And I probably do lots of them. This is how you build a landing page. This is how you build a membership site. This is how you use agencies. This is how you do whatever on Kartra. And I make lots of videos, and I'd get those, particularly on YouTube. And YouTube is great for cheap ads. Because the beautiful thing about YouTube is that if people see the first few seconds of an ad and skip it, you don't have to pay anything. It's not costing you anything. Whereas obviously if it goes on for more than 30 seconds, that's when you're going to start to pay them. But the cost per click, if somebody's going to watch that much, there's a pretty good high chance that they're probably interested. They have not just skipped it to go to the video that they want to watch on YouTube. So that can be a really good way of driving traffic. But if you're going to do that, please, for God's sake, make a good quality video. And it's really worth investing in getting it done professionally if you can. It just makes such a difference to getting those clicks. And ultimately, it is all about clicks. That's what we want people to do. We want to get people to our site on a click, and then we can ask them if they want to convert and have that relationship with us. Okay, still no questions there. So let's actually build an ad. Let's build an ad. This is a cool thing that we can do. So let's build one for Lisa, because we've been using Lisa's all the way through. I tell you what, Lisa, this is some value for you here. I'm going to share my screen once again. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to Canva. I love Canva. Canva is ace. For people like me who aren't really that artistic, I've got a reasonable eye, but for some unknown reason, I just can't draw. I've got a 6-year-old daughter who draws better than I do. So for people like me who want to be able to make really nice, cool looking graphics, Canva is an absolute must-have place to go. And it's actually worth spending the sort of £10 or £11, I think it is, per month to get your own account, because you just get access to so much good creative stuff. I'll actually show you in all my designs the stuff that I've been doing all over the place. Can you tell I've been doing some stuff for these guys, Edge 196 recently. There's the free light bulbs thing. There's the resource pack. Some of you might recognize that. That was all built using Canva, which is really, really cool. And there's some other things there. So these are some other sites that I've done and I'm involved in. So see, here's some of the ads that I've done, and they look really nice and pretty, but let's just show you how you can make one. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a design. Let's make it for a Facebook ad. Okay, so it's got all these lovely templates, so you don't need to think about the design sizes or anything. It automatically picks the latest design size that Facebook likes the best. In this case, 1200 by 628. This is actually a really important part of your funnel. So we're going to click that. We're going to create a new design, and we get this blank canvas here. By the way, if you want to go and use Canva, it's one of the links that's in the resource pack. If you want to click on that and go to it, that would be really good. And by the way, if you share your Canva link with people and they use it, you get Canva credits, which basically means that it sort of helps you to do things at a slightly lower cost to say thank you. And this is a perfect way of growth hacking any website, getting other people to share it with you. And I'll tell you a story about that shortly. So I want to make this Facebook ad. I want to make it for Lisa. I want to make it about getting people to her landing page to get 101 free tools that every not-for-profit needs. So there's loads of templates here that I can use, and I can just literally pick one to start with. There's nothing really that's jumping at me. Obviously, if I was doing something for a pizza company, I might want to use that one. But there's nothing particularly jumping out at me there that says I want to go and do that. So let's add a new photo in. So I'm going to go to photos here. And what am I going to, this is going to connect with companies like Unsplash, which is a great place to get free design, but it's already in here. It's pulling all the data. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for, type in something like, I don't know, free giveaway. Let's see what it brings up. Okay. There's some nice ones here. Yeah, I tell you what, that looks like a pretty nice one there. Let's see if there's any other good ones. Which one do I? Oh, there's a good Christmassy one there. Yeah. Tell you what, I'm just gonna use. Let's have a look at that one. Oh yeah, that's quite a good one. You can just literally pull it over here, and it goes big and drops it onto the screen. So you've now got this picture of this nice lady here holding these. Oh, that's to do with gluten-free and fat-free. Maybe we don't want that one. Let's just pick that one at random anyway. That's a nice one. Okay, so now we're going to add a bit of text onto there because we want people to, don't put too much text on your ads, particularly for Facebook, by the way. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add, it's got, again, look, templates of text. I'm just going to add a little bit of text here. Let's pull a nice simple one. Let's pull, yeah, let's pull that one. Okay, let's pull that on. It gives you a load of dummy text. And I'm just going to change that to something like free, or free for not for profit companies. Now, obviously, that's pretty big text, so I'm going to want to change the size of that. Let's change it right down to about there. About 36 point here. I particularly like the font. We'll change that font to something like Alaron. That's quite a nice font. We'll take the italics off it. And free for not-for-profit companies, let's put 101 tools every charity needs to make fundraising easier. Okay. So let's, going to always change the text color on that. Let's do that. You can see I'm just doing something. Let's put it in white and see if that stands out a bit. Yeah, maybe we'll do a slightly different color. Oh, no, don't like that. No, I don't like any of those. Tell you what, let's just leave it as white for now. So let's say that this was going to be our ad. One of the things that sometimes I do like to do is to put a box underneath it. And if you just right click on that, you can go send to the back, and then it comes at the back. And I don't particularly like these big bulky squares. So what I might do is just up here in the top right hand corner, I might just bring the transparency down a wee bit, so you can see what's going on underneath it. Maybe change the color of the box a little bit. But, that's a bit nicer, isn't it? So there you go. You've made an ad. Yeah, you could now download that ad and very, very quickly deploy that on Facebook. You just go up to the top here and you go and give it a name. We'll just go call it Lisa's first Facebook ad. And then just hit a download. It'll tell you, give you options as to how you want to download it. In this case, I'm going to make it a PNG. You can make it a JPEG as well if it's got lots of photography in. So if it's got high level photographic detail, I'd probably want to make it a JPEG. But for this, let's make it a PNG and download. Tells you it's preparing the design, and now that's going to download it to my computer, which you'll see it down here, Lisa's first thing. And if we were to open that, you would see in preview that is the right size ad. It looks amazing. And there you go. You can now run that on your Facebook ads. So why, it's actually worth talking a little bit. Oh, there you go. There's the actual image. That's what it looks like. And obviously you can blow it up, and it looks pretty nice. And you can just get really creative. You know, obviously if you're doing something for, let's say you're you run Indian cookery or something like that. This is actually one of the people who was on this webinar. That's exactly what they do. So let's put Indian food. Maybe you want to do something for Indian food. Oh, look at all that. That's beautiful. Have those, and you might want to make this something like learn how to make authentic Indian cuisine. get the free recipe guide to make your meals just like in the restaurants. Oops. Okay. And obviously you can move all these things around as well. Put them wherever you want. So that would be something that I would probably do to get a nice ad for this particular client. So it's very, very simple. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, anything that you can think of is on here. I mean, I was doing something the other week to help people who've had a recent car crash. Somebody's crashed into them, and I didn't think I'd find anything, but if you put a car accident into here, you indeed do find graphics of car accidents. So I actually used some of these to build some adverts for my customer, which was great. And, you know, it's so simple to make these ads, and then you can just run them however you want. So I see we've got a question that's just popped up. Let's have a look. How do you add the URL for the Facebook ads? That's a great question, Steve. Basically, what you do is there are two ways to run Facebook ads. There's what's called Boost, which I don't recommend unless you've just got a very, very specific piece of content. So let's say you've written a blog post, and this blog post is something that you really want a lot of people on Facebook to see. And then you might want to boost it. But if you're wanting to run a really good funnel campaign, I actually think that the best way to do it is inside of the Facebook Business Manager. Now, if you do want to run Facebook ads, you absolutely really must get an account on Facebook Business Manager. I shall put that into the chat whenever I can find that, and it's just this. It is business.facebook.com. If you don't have an account on there already, do go and get one, because this is absolutely the way to run ads properly on Facebook. And it kind of goes a little bit beyond the scope of this. It's like why I say you can talk about this stuff forever and just keep on going, and things keep changing as well. If anybody would like to get some more support with that, do come and talk to me. But also I know Umi, they do some great webinars on how to do this as well. So do go and sign up for their webinars too. So business.facebook.com is, if you like, it's the internal manager for running your ads, getting everything together, putting your creative on. And when you start to run an ad, there is actually a place inside of it that allows you to actually post your URL. And of course, if you're running a split test, remember what we're going to do is, if we've got more than one landing page, which we have in Lisa's case, is we'd want that URL, or more likely we'd want the bit.ly URL that we made here. So if you remember, that was the bit.ly URL that we made before. If you look here, NCYF, that is the URL. We can just copy that, and that is what we put into Facebook's Business Manager, into the Ad Manager. So once you're in Business Manager, you can set everything up, and then you can start running ads, and it's inside of there. It's a little bit beyond the scope of what we're doing here today. If you want help with that, as I say, please come talk to me, or go and have a look at some of these other webinars that Umi or other people are running. But it's actually not that complicated to do. But Facebook's Business Manager can look a little bit tricksy sometimes when you first go into it. There's an awful lot there. But I promise you, once you've spent a little bit of time in it, you'll figure out that the most important things that you'll need to know are fairly straightforward. So you'd be putting that link there to your split testing. Now, if you were to end your split test, this is a question that comes up occasionally. If you were to end your split test that you're running inside of Kartra and you're picking one landing page that's now the overall winner, you can still use this link as long as you tell Kartra that your split test is now running 100% on that URL. Okay, so it might be that you had before you had landing page 1 and you had landing page 2, and landing page 2 got 80% of all the conversions, whereas landing page 1 got only 20% of all the conversions. What's that going to tell us? Obviously, it tells us that, let me see if I can just make that a bit bigger. It tells us that we want to be sending people here now. So you can just, inside of Kartra, you can now say that, okay, instead of 50% of the time we're sending people to that and 50% of the time we're sending them to that, we're just going to send 100% of the time to that one now. And then from then on, you don't need to change up your ads anymore in Facebook. It's so much easier to just do it in one. I hope that that answers the question. I appreciate I haven't really gone into Facebook's Business Manager and shown you that, but I promise you it is in there. You effectively go in, you set your account up, and really what you're doing is you're trying to then set up ads, and there's what's called ad groups, ad sets, and then your actual adverts. An ad set is like encompasses a number of very specific adverts. So it might be that you have 4 different ads that you've created in Canva that effectively all do kind of the same thing. They all tell the same message, but they've just got different pictures. You'd have all 4 of those inside of one ad set, and that's like a campaign. So it might be we're selling or we're trying to get people into Lisa's funnel to get her 101 tools. It might just, it might have 4 adverts that have 101 free tools for charities written on there, but they all just look slightly different. You can, of course, inside of Facebook split test all those, but what you're doing is you're adding a Facebook tracking pixel, and that's inside of the Facebook Business Manager too. And it says when it goes to that split test URL, when it lands on those pages, Facebook tracks it. And not only does it track it now, there's a really cool thing with Facebook and Instagram, but it tracks it effectively forever. Okay, so what you can now do is, and this is optimizing your funnel really well, you can retarget at people who've landed on your landing page. So they've visited it, but they didn't sign up for some reason. Why didn't they sign up? So something got them to click. Okay, so there was a bit of interest at first, but you didn't manage to convert them into a sign up first time round. What I'd now be wanting to do is try and retarget at those people who didn't fill in the opt-in form. And with Facebook and Instagram, you can do that really easily because you've got this tracking pixel, and you can retarget a slightly different ad at them. And this time maybe send them to a different landing page that basically says, look, here's an even better offer, or here's, you visited us before and we didn't manage to connect. We just wanted to let you know there's this as well. And really for me, there's some people work on the basis that it's all about getting people into the funnel for whatever reason, and then just whacking them with spam. That's black hat. I don't like that at all. It really doesn't work. Remember what we talked about in webinar 1. Yeah, there are the 5 keys to doing digital sales, which obviously, you've got price and things like that is one of them, but trust and adding value and really letting the customer know that there's value in what you do are 2 of the key ones, trust and value. Well, you don't build trust and you don't add value by spamming people. Okay, it's about building that relationship over time. And this is where a lot of people, when they build their funnels, they fall down because they get a lead magnet together and then they start to go, well, I can just spam at people now and I'm just going to ask them to buy, ask them to buy, ask them to buy, and it doesn't work. Okay, it's really, really important to get that relationship with the customer or the prospective customers going by continuing to add value and being the person, the company, the brand that inspires trust and confidence. So if I'm Lisa and I'm giving away my free 101 tools and I get people to sign up for them, I don't then want to, in my very next email, go, hey, come and buy my products, come and buy my services. What I might want to do is go down a path of going, hey, thanks for signing up for these tools. Have you seen this one? This one's even cooler. And, I'm really into affiliate marketing. So I might then want to go, oh, look, there's a really free, cool tool here. And you can get it for 30 days completely for free. Just click the link and it's yours. And here's a video on how to use it. Now, if they then go on to buy that product and pay for it because they've seen the value in it, this is why free trials are so good. You, as the person that referred them, can get a percentage of the revenue that company collects. And that's effectively what affiliate marketing is. And by the way, I do a whole series of courses on affiliate marketing. Cheeky plug, I know. Got to get those in there. So really, it's about nurturing that trust. Don't go for the sale. You not do that in real life. Yeah. Why do it digitally? It's more important to build that trust and that relationship with people. I see there's a couple of questions. Let's have a look. That was, how do you add the URL for the Facebook ad? Steve, if you want to know that separately, please come and talk to me about that offline. But it's actually very simple as well. You can just bob it into YouTube and it will show you how to do that. Bear in mind that Facebook did have an update earlier on this year to their business manager. So if you're watching an older version of the video, you might find things are in different places. So watch an updated one for 2020, and that'll show you how to do it. But if you want some specific help, come and book some time, and I'll be more than happy to show you how to do that. Moira says, can you remind us of the 5 keys? Yeah, so basically there are, we talked about this in webinar 1. So the keys are this: there's need, there's urgency, there's price, there's trust, and there's value. So need is, does the customer need it? So this is like what I talked about before. If you're selling dog toys, yeah, there's kind of prerequisites that people need to be customers of yours, like a dog. Yeah, if they own goldfish and no dog, they're probably not going to be customers of yours. So is there a need? Urgency is right now. Is this something that they want today? So urgency is a really interesting one, and this comes out in the profile. So if you're dealing with people who are maybe thinking about buying a product, they may not have the urgency straight away. And there's a whole series of psychology around the way that people choose to buy. And again, this it's huge. So for example, some people are what we call instant buyers. So they see something and it's like kids in a candy store, like, ooh, gotta have that now, yeah? Whereas other people, what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to sit and maybe research. I'm more one of those people. I like to get all the data together, and I'm going to do a bit of a comparison. And I might even come up with, let's say I'm buying a new car. There might be 10 things that are must-haves for me, which might include air conditioning, Bluetooth, cruise control. It has to be black or something like that. I don't know. Plus, there might be some things that are nice to have. And I'd do a comparison that way. Steve, yes, I'll happily do that. If you in the resource pack, you can actually go and put your details. I think it's dylanlayton.com/events. You can put your details in there. That's a funnel, by the way, and I will let you know when the next affiliate marketing courses are. We'll talk a bit more about affiliatization in a moment inside of Kartra. I hope that answers the question. It's dylanlayton.com/events. And we can do that. So yeah, the 5 keys, very, very, very important. You've got need, urgency, price. Obviously, the price has got to be right. Now, some people work on the basis that they need to be the cheapest. I disagree with that entirely. It's about pricing it right. So sometimes you might want to go and have a look at your competitors, see what they're doing if you're a new product on the market. What you typically find is that there'll be a range. So let's say you're doing some SaaS platform software. You've built a platform, it does a particular job. What do people who do similar things sell it for? And then really sort of think about focusing on the USP. People still don't buy based on price. Yes, sometimes they do. But if it was all about price, think about when you buy your car insurance. Yes, typically people are looking for the cheapest price, but there's a certain point where people are looking for benefits over price. So they'll start to, and different people are different. They're going to want to tweak things around here and there. So really think about what is the psychology of the people that you want to target, what's important to them. If I'm buying car insurance, one of the things that's important to me is preserving my 20 years worth of no claims discount, because I'm a good driver and I don't have crashes, which is ace. So I want to preserve that. So, I might want something that gives me extra benefits in case the worst actually happens and I prang someone in a car park or something. Oh, please don't do that. I don't want to do that. So you've got to really think about, what does your customer want, and build that into the price. And I tend to believe that with all these things, having different pricing structures is always best. Have a basic, have a pro, and have an enterprise, or an all bells and whistles version. And you know what? One of the best things that you can do to optimize a funnel, if you have got different pricing strategies, is to get them side by side and show people why they should buy the higher version. Really, really spell it out for them. Yeah, because it's just absolutely mega important. And if you can really put that into your funnel as well, and maybe even keep reminding people, let's say somebody wants to, this is where you get upsells and downsells. Let's say somebody wants to buy your product, but there's actually another pricing, another version of it, which gives them these as well. When it gets to the checkout page, and you can do this in Kartra, right? When it gets to the checkout page, you can actually get them to the point where it goes, hey, do you want these as well? The product you're about to buy is amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing, but you can have these for just an extra 20, 30, 40 pound a month, whatever it may be. And upsells you can both do before they complete the checkout and after. And that's where it gets quite clever, because sometimes once they've bought it, right, there's no cart abandonment. Once they've bought it, they're in, they've got skin in the game. If you now get them afterwards and go, do you want this as well? I'll tell you what, if you take it now, it's normally an extra £100, but if you take it right now, we'll do it for £40. That's a 60% discount if you take it now. And that's a really good way of just increasing your revenue share right at that point where they've just made the decision. There is no better time to get them to upsell than at the point that they've just made the decision to buy. The other day, I bought a nice shiny new Mac. It arrived this morning. I'm so pleased. And it's over there charging up. And, it was one of those things that I got to the end. And if you at that point have said, hey, would you like to buy this as well? I was in the moment. I was in the glow of, wow, I'm going to get my new Mac. I've pressed the button. It's done. The money's been debited. And if you're anything like me, you know, I'm a Yorkshireman, of course. So, you know, actually pressing the button to pay the money is stressful on my body. But the moment I've pressed it, everything feels different. Okay. And this is an absolute key to building your funnel. If you can get somebody to the point of making that decision to buy and clicking that button, there will never be a better time to upsell them, ever. I promise you. That is the moment. They're in the glow of it. That's the time. Moira, I hope that answers your question for you on the 5 keys. Need, urgency, price, trust, value. Okay, any more questions at all? No? Okay, so just for the last 10 minutes then, before we get on, if there's any discussion, we'll have a little bit at the end, and I will stay around, and if anybody wants to ask any questions, you're certainly welcome to do so. What we'll do is, there's another way of driving traffic, and I've already alluded to it, and it's using affiliates. Okay, now, there are a couple of different ways of doing it, and this is getting into the idea of growth hacking. Growth hacking's cool, right? It's been around for a while. And some people don't like the term. Some other people, you know, they think it's ace. I actually quite like the term. I think it's cool. But effectively what it means is it's really using psychological techniques and being smart about trying to increase your user base and grow more sales using low cost. And that's the key thing. It's low cost, smart methods. So back in the day, there was a company called Dropbox. Most of you, I'm sure, will have come across Dropbox. It's just basically cloud storage. It's got a nice app that sits on your computer. You can put your stuff into the Dropbox and, you know, you get, I think it's 5 gigabytes of storage space free of charge. And that's their absolute basic. That gets people in. That's their lead magnet. But they have a higher level where you can get, I think it's a terabyte of storage for, I think it's about, I don't know, 8 or 10 pounds a month. It's about, it's about 100 pounds a year or something like that. And when Dropbox first started off and it was growing its business, it was costing them over $400 to get a customer to buy a package that was worth $100. Okay, so they were making a loss even when people were signing up, because it just costs so much on average to get people to become bigger customers. And so they effectively hired an agency to solve this problem. And some bright spark said, well, the obvious answer is that you growth hack using your existing free customer base. Okay, because currently it's costing you a lot of money in advertising, and you don't want to spend all of that money in advertising. What you want to do is get all of your free customers doing it for you, right? And so here's what you do. Tell all of your free customers that they can have their own link. And if they share that link with their friends and their friends sign up for an account, even a free account, yeah, you'll give them an extra ½ gigabyte of storage space. Okay, because to Dropbox, that extra ½ gigabyte of storage space costs them buttons, nothing in comparison to running an ad campaign. So now I, as a user, I'm encouraged to share this with 10 of my less technically minded friends. And, you know, I remember at the time I shared it with my family and my dad particularly, he loves his computers, but he's an absolute Luddite. He doesn't know anything about how to make them work properly. But I was able to share that with him and say, hey, there's a bit of cloud storage for free. It's not costing him anything. But if he then went on to buy the full version, what's it cost Dropbox? Very little, a tiny little bit of extra storage space, which I happen to know, because I've run businesses before where we did huge amounts of cloud-based storage, it would have cost them in the region of a few pennies, right? Not $300 or $400 US to get that new customer in. And obviously for every 100 free customers, they're going to get maybe 2 or 3 who are going to purchase and actually buy the product. And that is how Dropbox became one of the biggest companies on the planet. Believe it or not, they're absolutely huge and their revenue is gigantic right now. Another question. I lost my signal at all point and missed your answer to me about landing on Kartra's domain having a negative effect on your own brand's integrity. Can you please repeat the answer? Yes. Yeah, basically you can have a custom domain inside of Kartra. If you have the starter version, you can have one custom domain. If you need more, if you're someone like me that does quite a lot sometimes for different people, the silver version gives you 3, and I think the gold version gives you 5 custom domains. If you need more than that, perhaps you might start thinking about having one single domain that does everything. So you might get a generic domain name, something like superoffers.online or something like that. And you actually might run lots of different offers on that as the main domain. And then you only need to do a custom integration with one. It's very, very, very quick to do that. But a little bit of a but, which I didn't mention before. If you are going to have a custom domain, you need a couple of things. First of all, you need access to the domain registrar. So I use Namecheap for my domains, and I've got loads of domains under there. I actually really like Namecheap. It is actually quite cheap to run, and they do some good, cool products, and they're pretty high quality. So what I'll do is I might have a domain under there, and then you need to edit what's called the DNS, the domain name service. If you don't know what you're doing with that, it's quite easy to break it. Okay, so if you really don't know what you're doing, and by the way, Kartra does give you a brilliant, in-depth, very simple guide. Just ask somebody who's a bit more technical. Even if you paid somebody, 10 quid to just, add a CNAME redirect for you, it's worth it. Don't break your domain. And by the way, it also doesn't work straight away. With a domain name system, you have to wait normally about a few hours, normally something up to 24, sometimes even 48 hours for that new domain name change to propagate across the internet. So some people it will work for straight away and others it won't. I tend to think that if you're going to do a launch, you want to do your integration between Kartra and your domain at least 48 hours before you launch, just to make sure that people aren't going to get land on a oops, this page can't be found 404 page. So the way that you do it is I'll show you again. Let me share my screen, Yvonne. The way that you do it is you go into Kartra here, and let me just move that out of the way. And you go up here and you just click on custom domains. There's a couple of custom domains that I've got, and you want to add a new domain, you add it there. So let's say I'm going to use a subdomain, for example, and let's say the domain is Lisa's charity stuff.com. That's her domain, but it might be that lisascharitystuff.com is her website. Okay, and we don't want to take anything away from a website. We just want this as a separate landing page. So I might call the domain offer. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Lisa's domain name registrar, which could be GoDaddy or Namecheap or 123reg or whatever it may be. And I'm going to, there's a bit of documentation, you can read that integration guide. But effectively what I'm going to do is I'm going to point a CNAME record, right? I'm going to make a CNAME record inside of my domain registrant, and I'm going to point it at that. That's my Kartra domain there, calliste.kartra.com. Don't ask me why, it's a long story, but that's the one that I use. And then once you've done that, you just click yes, I've completed the steps above, and you click next, and then you tell it which page we're going to point at. In this case, we'll point it at one of those pages, and an error page. We want to give it an error page as well. There's no error page on here. I'll just pick another one. I'll pick that one randomly. Have I got a 404 page on there? Yes, there I have. Yeah. So obviously, I wouldn't use that one. That would be for a completely different site. But once you've done that, you're saying if somebody types in offer.lisascharitystuff.com, they're going to be redirected to this page here, and then that's it. The domain integration process started, should be complete within a day. Once you've done the update inside of your DNS, which is on your registrar, that will then work. For anybody that wants to do that, I'm going to remove that because it's not a real domain. For anybody that does want to do that, but they're a bit worried, please feel free to come and talk to me. I'll happily help you to set that up. And I hope that has answered your question for you. Can you believe it? We are running pretty much out of time here. I just wanted to talk about one more thing before we go. Affiliates. So affiliates, I was telling you about Dropbox before. You're welcome, Yvonne. I was telling you about Dropbox before and how they managed to growth hack to this point where they're now one of the biggest tech companies on the planet. And everybody's heard of them, right? Pretty much everybody knows Dropbox. They might not be as big as Apple and Microsoft, but they're pretty huge, and a lot of people know Dropbox. Almost all tech companies these days use affiliates. And what are affiliates? They're basically people who make a living promoting somebody else's product. I'm an affiliate, right? I love promoting affiliate products. Why? I don't have to build a product. I don't have to store a product. I don't have to stock a product. I don't have to do any of the help desk. I don't have to do any user support. None of it. All my job is to get people to go and sign up to something. Okay? Just to go and join. And then if they join and they become a paying customer, whether now or at some point in the future, if I was the person that referred them, I get some of the revenue that the company collects. And I'm a really big fan of affiliate marketing because I tend to affiliatize for things that have got recurring revenue. Okay. And what this means is that every month that somebody keeps using this product, let's say it costs them £100 a month, I might get 30% of that revenue every month, and I don't have to do any more work. I just get it. It just gets sent to me. It's brilliant. And then it's a numbers game. So obviously, as you can see, for me, it's then all about making sure that I've got lots of people coming and clicking and signing up, and every month I get sent more money by the company. It's fantastic. You typically have to wait about 60 days to get your money, because normally it'll be like something like 30 days to use a product, and then they have a 30-day chargeback period, because during the next 30 days that somebody buys something, they could reverse the payment on a credit card. So the company wants to make sure they haven't paid you out and then lost the business as well. So that would be bad for them. So typically it can take a little while to get the money going, but that's a really great way of generating recurring revenue. And here's the thing, even if your business has nothing to do with that, let's say that you are like Lisa and you're doing stuff for charities, you can derive extra income from being an ambassador for a product. If you've got a product that fits beautifully with what you do, yeah, affiliatize it. So Lisa, if you haven't already, on your ultimate guide for not-for-profits, yeah, if you've got the links in there and there are products there that are affiliatized, you can effectively earn extra money for your business for doing no extra work other than just putting your link in. And that is a really great way of driving additional revenue. I strongly recommend it. And actually, you know, I think it's fine to be upfront about it and just say, you know, if you do this, then, you know, I might get some money. So, you know, please. Lisa says that's got on my to-do list. Thank you. Yeah, it's really important. You know, if you made an extra £100 a month from just affiliatizing, how are you going to feel about that? You know, you can buy yourself a little holiday every year for doing no additional work other than becoming an affiliate. For those of you that want to get more into affiliate marketing and some really cool tricks, please again go and sign up, dylanleighton.com/events. I do a whole series on how to get started with affiliate marketing. Bit of a clue, Kartra is probably one of the best products to use, but there are loads of others that you can use. And again, you know, I am an affiliate for Kartra. I'm an affiliate for just about all of these different funnel building softwares. I'm quite open about it. And I think it's quite important to be that way because it continues to build that trust. So, you know, of course I want people to use these products, but there are loads of products out there, and, you know, you've got to find the one that works best for you. It's not necessarily going to work for everybody. Any more questions? Because believe it or not, we have come to the end. Can you believe it? Another 2 hours has shot by. We could go on with this forever, but this is the end of this webinar series. So I hope that by now you've got a good idea. In building a funnel that works, here's the steps. I'm just going to remind you. Step number 1, understand your product. Step number 2, you know, really start to map it out, build a flow, and then and only then start to build your funnel, build thank you pages and you know, error pages first, build your forms, then build your landing pages. And then once you've got that and you've got it all working and integrated with your custom domain, then go to Canva and, you know, create your ads and start putting your ads out there. There are ways and means, by the way, of getting started with ads, free or a bit cheap. LinkedIn, by the way, are brilliant because they'll offer you some free LinkedIn ad spend. You just have to go looking for it. Just put LinkedIn ad spend into Google and you'll find it. But if you want to, you know, if you want a bit of help with that, please do come and talk to me. And I'll be more than happy to help you. If you go to signup.dylanleighton.com, you can actually book some time for free with me, and we'll talk through some of this strategy. So that's it. Last thing I'm going to say is, you know, these webinars have been hosted by Umi. They're absolutely fantastic. They're all free. There's loads of others. There are ones on social media marketing, which I strongly recommend. And all sorts of different things. Please do go and sign up to them. These guys are doing fantastic work. So I'd like to say a big thank you to Umi. Yeah, James, yeah, you said I think affiliate could work for my B2C service. Yeah, absolutely it can. Affiliatizing your business is one of the smartest ways to generate extra revenue for not necessarily doing a great deal of extra work. And it helps everybody. It's all about growth. And right now, after the pandemic, I think everybody is looking for some growth, right? So thank you again for coming. Thank you for attending. For those of you that have been here for 3 weeks, I'm absolutely honored. Bless you. And do come and talk to me some more if you want. For now, that's it. I'm going to stick around. If you've got any questions, feel free to come and ask. Bye.